Support for Audacious with Chion Wolf provided by a generous contribution from Suzanne Hopgood in memory of Frank Lord.
From Connecticut Public Radio in Hartford, this is Audacious. I'm Chion Wolf. Do you think it's really possible that someone you've never met before in your life could read your mind? Well, listen to this.
I have made a prediction, and let's see if that's how your mind is going to play today.
Okay, and you've written it down in a piece of paper in a sealed envelope. I'm looking at it.
Okay, so now let's go on a vacation. I want you to think of a place that you would like to go to for a holiday. I want you to think of how many days you would like to go on a holiday to that location. And I want you to think of with whom you would like to go on a holiday to that destination.
Okay, I've got it.
Okay, we haven't set this up. You did not know what is going to come.
No.
You are just thinking of this for the first time. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And there's no way on this earth I would have known what is in your mind.
Impossible.
Okay. For the very first time, can you tell me what is the destination that you want to go to?
Scotland.
You want to go to Scotland. Okay. And how many days do you want to go there?
5 days.
5 days. Okay. And with whom?
My best friend, Michelle.
With Michelle. Would you be amazed if in the sealed envelope was some detail about you and this imaginary or a dream trip that you wish to do? Would you be amazed on that?
I would be amazed. And I've been looking at this envelope on our Zoom, and it hasn't even wiggled. It hasn't been touched.
Absolutely. So I'm going to go inside
Uh-huh.
and I'm going to bring out a piece of paper. And for the very first time, I'm going to open it up. And it has some information which you may want to read out aloud.
It says Scotland, 5 days, Michelle. Okay. That was Dr. Kruti Parekh. She's an internationally acclaimed mentalist. And if you're wondering exactly what a mentalist does, it's variations on what you just heard. Imagine someone who seems to have extraordinary powers of the mind, like reading your thoughts or predicting the unpredictable, and they demonstrate this ability often in front of a large audience. Dr. Kruti Parekh is based in India and is one of the most celebrated mentalists in the world. She's performed in front of royalty, CEOs, and today, me and you. But what strikes me most isn't her ability to guess what I'm thinking, although that was freaking cool. It's how eager she is to talk about some of life's biggest questions. What does it mean to live a good life? And how do we trust our intuition when it's telling us things we don't want to hear? But let's get back to that thing she just did, reading my mind about a vacation to Scotland. Okay, so I just want to ask how, and I know that if I ask how, you're going to be like, well, I can't tell you how because that's not how this goes, but I'm still going to ask, how did you do that?
So actually, I can tell you, I did not let you know about it, that I can tell you, but it's a secret. So if I tell you, I'll have to kill you.
Well, it's been a nice life. I mean, a really nice life.
All right. So don't worry, I'm not going to kill you.
Thank you.
But what I'm going to actually do is, we all have the power. We all have the power of intuition. And especially as women, we are naturally intuitive. And we know things before they actually happen in our lives, right?
Yeah, often.
Okay. So I'm going to do a similar experiment with you. And I'm going to show everyone how intuitive you really are. Are you ready for that?
I'm ready.
Okay, perfect. So I have a marker and a notepad. Do you have a wallet or something on you?
I do, yeah.
You have bills or do you have credit cards?
I have both.
Okay. Don't show me anything. Keep it under the video level so that I can't see anything.
Okay.
What would you like to pick up? The credit cards or the currency notes or the dollar bills?
Let's go with the currency notes.
Okay. Now what I'm going to do is I am going to, on this notepad, write down something. Okay. So I have written down here on this notepad the last two digits of the note number you are going to pick up from your wallet. I have not seen the wallet. I have not seen which bills are there. I don't even know the denomination of the bills, right?
That's correct.
Now I want you to look at all the dollar bills. Look at the last two digits of the note number. So every note has a unique note number. Look at the last two digits, and there'll be one number, one note basically, which will appeal to you more than the others. I want you to pick that out.
Okay, I've got a handful of bills. I'm just going to put them on my keyboard, which you cannot see.
And I'm influencing you to pick up the one which is either the same number or the one closest to the number I have written down.
Okay, there's one that strongly stands out to me, like easy choice.
Take all the others out.
Okay.
And I've already written it down, so I can't change it.
Right, and you're holding it in the camera. I can see that you haven't placed it down this whole time.
Take that selected bill of yours, and for the very first time, call out what the last two digits are.
88.
What if I tell you that you are close and the number which I have written is
89. That's cool.
My God, you are pretty intuitive.
Wow, I'm kind of shaking right now. It's a lot to take in because I think there's a portion of me that really wants to believe that these abilities are true and real and consistent and reliable and available to everybody, because that's exciting, right? And it opens up a world of possibilities if all of us are able to do this. And at the same time, I'm shaking because it also goes counter to this more materialist reality that we're all raised in. I'll speak for myself. I'm raised in. And how does it feel to be around people who have, I imagine, a response very similar to mine, where we want to believe this and we're seeing evidence of it in this very simple, straightforward demonstration, but it also freaks us out a little bit. What's that like for you?
I'm only demonstrating 0.01% of what our minds are really capable of. And when I say our minds, I mean your mind, my mind, and the minds of every listener. We're all powerful. We're all special. It's just we haven't attuned ourselves towards that direction or the power. So you may notice a lot of times we have telepathic experiences. We have intuitive experiences. So I will say that the system exists in our minds, but we haven't trained ourselves how to use them. Or I would say how to use them as and when we require it, or effectively to our benefit for our growth.
So how did you discover this ability in yourself?
So for me, it was just, I was really intrigued by the mind and I really wanted to understand. So I started reading the Bhagavad Gita, Upanishads, Vedas, which are the Indian Shastras and the Indian texts. And I am an IT engineer myself. So I'm a student of science. So I don't take philosophy at its, face value. I want to find in scientific solutions to it. And when I went deeper into it, I started realizing that the mind is actually something which can be easily manipulated. Now it's up to you whether you want to use it for a good cause or a bad cause. It's also up to you how and to what degree you want to use it. So there are two emotionally connected people. If you just look at the other person knows what you're thinking of. So if you ask me, oh my God, this is so magical, how did she know? The answer is very simple, because you are emotionally connected. You can also replicate the same thing in a non-emotionally connected scenario. The first step to doing this is reading their body language. Your body language speaks a lot about you. What about using these techniques to be able to come to an outcome that you really want them to come to? So there are two kinds of poles, that our mind follows. One is an emotive pole and one is a motive pole. So one is a masculine energy, I would call it, and one is a feminine energy. So a masculine energy will generally, to make you do something that he wants, will say, do this. It's more like a command or an order, which is generally followed. While a feminine energy will say, please, I really want this. Or they'll very subtly tell you, oh, okay, we don't want to do this. That's fine. It's okay for me. I don't care about it. But actually, you really care about it. The other person will get the clue about it and say, okay, fine, I'm going to do it for you. So these are the two ways that your mind really plays and understands the entire situation. So over the period of time, I was able to understand all these different psychological tricks which are there, how it really works with people, how it works on yourself, and how you can command yourself to be a better person.
So how does this come into play when you are out and about in the world, when you go to the bank, when you go to the grocery store, when you're going on a long walk and you cross paths with someone? How do you use these abilities in general? And I also think about how in some ways there's privacy. Like these are strangers and they want to keep their thoughts and feelings private. And so in some ways there's also, and these are two questions in one, I realize, but how do you use these abilities on an everyday basis? And how do you walk the line in terms of privacy and people's private thoughts?
So when I do my shows, when I do my mentalist shows or mind reading shows, what I really do is I will always take permission. So I will always ask you, are you okay if I read your mind? Because it's always with the permission that I would want to, consent is important. So that's how I will always approach it. But sometimes, you are in a scenario where because you are aware, and because you have this ability, which is really charged up and, which is, at a higher state than other people, you are able to hear the chatter with them. So you have to learn to switch on and switch off. But if there is a scenario, I want to use it. So whether it's, for my shows as an entertainment purpose, or if it's for counseling. So I do a lot of online counseling, where if it's counseling to help people understand their own challenges. Sometimes, we aren't able to understand our own mindsets and our own challenges. So it really helps me to divert their mind to the real cause again. So because I know what they're going through, but they aren't able to understand it and come to the same point and realize it themselves. So these are the different ways that I personally use to switch on, switch off, and take consent.
So can you tell if someone's deliberately lying to you, or even just sort of bending the truth so you like them more, or so they can sort of have the story they want for you as a therapist? How do you deal with lying if you can detect it?
So A, your body language gives off a lot about you. B, with the words they say and the answers they give. So if you're lying, you will tend to either think a lot before answering or not think at all. There are ways to re-ask the question, and your answers will be different every time if you're lying. If you're saying the truth, no matter I wake you up and ask you the same question, your answer will be the same. And a person who has nothing to hide is actually going to be the most confident person. And a person who lies, it's a task for him or her to also remember what was the previous thing I said.
There's a Mark Twain quote that goes something like, always tell the truth, then you don't have to remember anything.
Absolutely. So someone who has a clear conscience, who really is not lying, is not going to remember anything. It's very simple. I think everything is just complicated by us. And that's why we feel that it's so difficult to know what the other person is thinking.
Totally. I mean, I've had experiences where I wanted to believe the answers. I wanted to believe the lie. I mean, there are songs written about this. I just want, lie to me. What is that Sheryl Crow song? Lie to me. I promise I'll believe. Like, I want to believe you. And so I'm going to. And so I'm going to, even though my stomach is in knots and the story's not really making sense and I'm totally reading your body language, I'm still going to believe your lie because I want to. And to your point, that's how we get into trouble.
Yeah. And you very well know it's a lie. So it's not actually that person's problem. It's your problem.
It's almost like the degree to which we deny our intuition is the degree to which we will learn that we have one.
Absolutely. And we're all human beings. We're all energies. the universe is a ball of energy, irrespective of your religion, caste, creed, everything aside. We're all energies. And if you know, so there is a phenomena which is called a psychometry, where you're actually able to understand the energies of different people. So in this phenomena, I'll just explain it in very simple words. What really happens, or in our day-to-day lives, how we can understand this, is there are some people we meet and instantly we'll gel with them. But there are some people you can spend the rest of your life with them, but we still cannot connect. That's because your energies are at different levels. So this entire world is about energies. If someone is thinking wrongly about you, you get the energies and you are able to sense it before anything bad happens or wrong happens. Why we as human beings are shutting our minds, our intuitivenesses, our energies from what is happening around us, and why are we only believing words?
Why do you think it is that some people deeply and strongly resist the idea of people being able to read people and people being able to connect with people in these ways that are not measurable, not something you could test in a lab? What are your thoughts on that resistance?
Do you know you have never seen your own face? And let me explain this to you. Okay.
Okay.
What you see on camera is an image of your face. What you see in the mirror is a mirror image of your face. But you as a person has never seen your own face. So when someone else is able to see your face, they are able to see more things than you ever knew. So when these people feel that nobody else will come to know when I lie, or, I'm reluctant about the fact that she has the power to see me and figure it out, it's because it's coming from this factor of illusion that I'm in control and they can't see anything. But honestly, you are the one who has never seen yourself. So it's only, how would you realize that you're lying? It's only because of your conscious. You know it here in the heart. So this is only an illusion that people feel. I can lie with ease. But honestly speaking, your conscious knows about it. And how are you going to answer back to your own conscious? It knows all your dark secrets. So, it's also about perception. So we feel a lot of times that what we are doing is the correct thing. But even perception is relative. So if a train is coming from your direction to my direction, your perspective is the train is going away from me. And my perspective is the train is coming towards me. We both are correct. But in each other's perception, we are both wrong. So if we feel that nobody will come to know about it, you may be able to hide it for an X amount of time. But the other person will know it. They will have this gut feeling. And once that gut feeling or that suspicion gets into someone's mind, it's already over.
So, under the assumption that all of us are born with some kind of intuitive ability or abilities, that means that they can be developed and grown. Now, as we were talking about earlier, sometimes you learn that you have these abilities by denying that you have these abilities until life shows you, hey, listen, we were trying to show you the truth the whole time, and we gave you all these signs, we gave you all these feelings, and you ignored it, so you're going to suffer the consequences of ignoring it by us showing it to you much later and in a much more difficult fashion. So what advice would you have for me to grow these abilities?
Observe. When you observe, you learn many more things about someone than speaking to them. Because they can lie with their words, but not with their body language or actions. The truth will always be revealed. So you don't need to be really worried about it. The second thing I'd like to say is how I have learned these aspects of it has been through my readings from the Bhagavad Gita. So I found it to be a handbook for life. So the first mantra of the Bhagavad Gita itself says, I'm going to say it in Sanskrit just to give you a small insight into it. So it says, Dharma kshetra kurukshetre samaveta yustavaha mamakaha pandavaschaiva kim kuruvat sanjaya. It means, so this is a storyline where there is a king, which is Dhritarashtra. He's supposedly the king of this big kingdom, but he is a blind man. The second person narrated in this is Sanjay, who's his minister, but he's a very learned man who has divine vision. So Dhritarashtra, who's the king, asks Sanjay, in this battlefield of life, can you please tell me what is happening in this battlefield between the bad and the good guys? But it's actually the battlefield of your mind. Whenever we come across any kind of a difficult situation or confusion, the fight happens between the good thoughts and the bad thoughts, or the good actions and the bad actions, and we are confused and we feel as helpless like Dhritarashtra or the blind king. We are blinded. I don't know what to do or what will happen. The good army or the good guys were only 5 and the bad guys were 100. That's exactly in our lives. We have 100 wrong things that we can do.
At least.
But the right things are limited. And generally the wrong ones, because they are 100 and they seem to be more powerful, should be the natural cause. But in real life, we are supposed to take the good cause and take that forward. Because everything which happens in our life is from here, our minds. All your answers are inside. I say the universe is within you.
You're hearing my conversation with Dr. Kruti Parekh. She's a mentalist, motivational speaker, and mind trainer from India. Since I can read minds too, I know you want to see the video of the 2 tricks that Dr. Parekh did at the beginning of the show, so check him out right now on the socials at CT Public. When we get back, the beauty and challenge of making the most out of now.
This moment will not come back again. And we have the power to either hold on to this moment or let it go.
I'm Chion Wolf. This is Audacious. Stay with me. This is Audacious. I'm Chion Wolf. We're talking with Dr. Kruti Parekh. She's a mentalist, meaning she has a unique ability that most people don't understand, let alone know how to tap into. She seems to be able to read minds. Now, I thought our conversation was going to be totally focused on what that's like for her personally, but it didn't take long before we delved into some pretty big stuff. One perspective she brings up is that there are so many situations in our lives, all of them arguably, that are meant to happen for us, not to us, although it might not feel that way in the moment. She explores this concept with a parable.
There was a king and he had a minister. The minister, no matter what happened, would say always, whatever happens, happens for the best. And this used to annoy the king a lot. Now, one day, the king was sharpening his sword and by mistake, he cut his thumb. The minister just arrived at that point of time. The king said, look what happened. My thumb is bleeding. I cut my thumb. And as usual, the minister said, whatever happens, happens for the best. This angered the king. And he said, guards, take this minister and put him in the prison. So the minister with folded hands went in the prison. Now, a couple of days later, the king said, I want to go to the jungle to hunt. Now, he said, call for the minister. But then he realized that the minister is in jail. So he called some other minister and said, okay, call him. We'll take him to the jungle and we will hunt. Many hours passed in the jungle. He couldn't find, any animal to hunt. So tired, he thought, I'll take a short nap. And then after some time, get up again and again hunt. When he got up, he realized that he was surrounded by a lot of the jungle tribe. So that tribe had surrounded him and they were looking for a human being to take for sacrifice to their god. And they said, pick him up and let's take him. So they tied him on a rope with his hands and legs on the stick, and they were taking him to the place of worship to sacrifice him and kill him for God. Now, one of the tribesmen noticed that this guy, he did not have a thumb. This is considered as an incomplete sacrifice to God, which is an insult to God. So therefore, he said, I am sorry, we cannot take him for sacrifice. And instead, he said, oh, he has another minister. Let's take him. So the minister went and the minister was killed. The other minister who was traveling, he was killed and the king was saved. He went running home back to his palace and went to that minister's prison cell and said, this is what happened. He narrated the whole incident. And he said, I'm so sorry. This is what happened. And I got saved because my thumb was cut. And the minister said, as usual, whatever happens, happens for the best. And he said, why are you saying this now? I put you in prison without a fault of yours. And you're still saying that whatever happens, happens for the best. He said, yes, king. If you had not put me in prison today, I would have been there with you in the jungle instead of that other minister. And you would have been saved because you did not have a thumb. But I had my thumb and I would have been killed. There are two ways to take our experiences. One is to learn from it. And the second one is to consider yourself as a victim of something. Now, pain, pleasure, good, bad experiences are all in the mind. Example, if I abuse you and say some bad words to you, you may feel offended. But if you don't understand them, do you feel offended?
No, especially if you say it in Sanskrit. Sounds pretty, actually.
Right. Sanskrit actually doesn't have these kind of words.
Right.
Sanskrit doesn't have any negative words. Sanskrit has only good things.
Roger that.
So it doesn't have anything negative. But I'll say, anybody, if I abuse you in a language that you're not aware of, you may be confused, but you will not realize it. You may say, oh, she just praised me or she said something. Maybe she was looking for some directions. I don't know. But do you feel offended? No, because you did not take it personally. Why do you take something so personally?
Yeah, it's sort of like when you think about, I really love the work of Michael Singer. He's a great philosopher. And he talks about how, when you drive on the road, you don't register every white line on the road. You don't register every tree you pass, but you select what you want to hold on to. You select what you want to store inside you forever and ever. And it's almost like when you get food poisoning at a buffet. It's as if you collect it in a to-go container and hold on to it in the fridge. So you've got the thing that made you sick and you just hold on to it in your guts forever and ever. It makes no sense.
Absolutely. And let me tell you, there's also one more beautiful thing which says, this moment will not come back again. And we have the power to either hold on to this moment or let it go. We have to train our minds to say whether it should matter, would matter, or needs to matter to you or not.
It's sort of like when people say, Happy New Year, and you think, oh, I wish we could have Happy New Year all the time. Well, Happy New Day, Happy New Moment, Kruti, Happy New Moment.
And it will not come back again. That's the beauty of the time that we live in. And if you could have done something about it, you would have done it. And if you couldn't do anything about it, it's not in your control, then you can't do it. Then why bother?
Right. There's a philosopher, Byron Katie, who says something like, if you want to know whether or not something should have happened, if it happened, it should have happened. There's your answer.
And all of us in this world are going to die one day. All of us. Whether we are powerful or we are weak, we are all going to die one day in this world. All the fights are temporary. All the moments are temporary. And you are above everything. So the Bhagavad Gita also tells us, always strive to be higher, nobler, and diviner. The whole journey is about how you make yourself better than a self that you were yesterday. The competition is not with another world, or the competition is not with another person, because that person doesn't exist. So I think we just need to go through whatever life has for us. If it causes us pain, we have the liberty to cry, experience the pain, and learn from it. Today, you may have been bullied because you did not have the courage to speak up. And you have the choice now to say and cry and take sympathy from people. Oh, I was bullied. Oh, this is what happened. No, you are powerful. You have all the power in this world. I'm not telling you to go and kill someone. I'm not telling you to go and hit someone back. But do you know it's more powerful to be able to disconnect and let it not affect you, rather than going and hitting someone. Today in this world, I don't know if it's right or wrong to say it on this platform or otherwise. Today in this world, I think what we are actually trying to do is, you hit me, I hit you back. But why? You hit me. I know how much pain it caused me. If I'm going to continue the cycle, I will hit you, you will strengthen yourself and hit me back. What are we achieving? And in this world, this is a fact that nobody in this world has been affected in a negative way or hurt in a way by doing any small good deed. If you have ever in this world done one small deed, good deed for someone selflessly with a pure intent in heart, it may or may not have an effect in the current present or an immediate effect in that moment. But you have left that angel star in their heart. And if you have hurt, physically hurt, done something wrong, you have left a scar. It's your choice. Do you want to be remembered as an angel or as a person who has scarred someone?
That also makes me think about how sometimes when I go out into the world and I feel like I'm in a great mood and I want to show up with love and presence and care. And sometimes I'll go out to a party and I have a good time. But when I get home, I think, well, nothing happened. I didn't meet my next romantic interest. I didn't, whatever. But then I think about the fact that I have no idea what my presence did. I could have said something that someone 2 people down overheard that stuck with them, that'll activate something a week later. Or maybe I look like someone's sister who they haven't talked to in a while. Or. And so it's not even just a deliberate act that could leave a mark, but it's a presence that you may never ever for the rest of your incarnation know that you just being there with love affected someone. It's not my business what it did to them, but I know that it's possible it did something.
Just a small, hey, how are you doing today? Nobody have probably asked them for the last 1 week. They were sad in their house because probably they had a breakup and they didn't have a courage to go out. And nobody for a week has even asked them how they are.
And they might not even say that to you, like, hey, thanks. Nobody said that. They might not even say that. And so you don't even know.
Exactly. Makes a huge impact on the other person.
And you don't need the evidence.
And there are small things that cost no money. Just bring a smile on someone's face. If you just see someone randomly, even if you don't know them, just give them a small smile. And even if they are not smiling, 90% of the people will smile back at you. You just gifted them a smile.
And yourself too. You remind me of how a couple of weeks ago I was in a dark mood and I went for a walk because that's a good thing to do when you're in a dark mood. And I went to a walk at one of my favorite places and I was thinking, I want to feel more love. I want more love to come towards me. I deserve it and I'm not getting it and I'm sour about it. And then this, out of nowhere, this strike of realization is, if you're not feeling like you're getting it, that means you're not giving it. And so everyone I crossed paths with on this walk, I truly complimented each one, whether it was I like their shoes or I like their hat. And as soon as I complimented them sincerely, I didn't make it up, that lonely, sour feeling evaporated. And so you think about how giving that love and that peace, yes, it's for them, but it's also for you too. It's a channel, it's energy, it's a currency.
Absolutely. You don't need to have big gestures and millions of dollars to be able to make a difference. And if you touch just one life in your lifetime, a lot of your task is done. I think we all need to start channelizing our thoughts and our mindsets towards this higher being beyond you, me, my country, my house, your house. Because all of us are temporary travelers in this world.
That was mentalist Dr. Kruti Parekh. After the break, what reactions does she get in the male-dominated world of mentalism?
A lot of people tell me a lot of times, hey, so you can read minds, right? I'm sure your husband must be really scared of you. Why does this same thing not come to a man?
I'm Kyone Wolf. This is Audacious. Stay tuned. This is Audacious. I'm Kyone Wolf. So far, we've explored some fascinating insights on the mind with mentalist and motivational speaker Dr. Kruti Parekh, like how tapping into our instincts and intuition can deepen our connection, not just with others, but with ourselves. And most of the people in Dr. Parekh's audience aren't used to seeing a woman perform mind-reading tricks, so we'll talk about the ways being a female mentalist challenges societal expectations. Dr. Parekh also talks with me about the role, if any, a belief in God plays in the practice of mentalism, and how a force she calls super energy connects us. Let's get back to it. Why do you think that this seems as though it's more of a male-dominated field? Like when we were putting the show together, Jessica Severin DeMartinez, the producer for this episode, was saying, there's tons of men who call themselves mentalists. I want to hear from a woman. And now that you and I have been talking, I'm thinking, like, why is it not a female-dominated field? Because as we've discussed, women on the whole tend to be more in touch with their feelings and their intuition and the detail-orientedness of how they see the world. And so what do you think about that? Why aren't there more women doing what you do? Or are there plenty more and we just didn't know about it?
So yes, of course, there are not so many women who are into this field. For a couple of reasons, I think some of the reasons are the standard reasons that it's more accessible. A lot of things are more accessible to men and more easily acceptable with men than women. So I'll tell you a thing which a lot of people tell me a lot of times. Hey, so you can read minds, right? I'm sure your husband must be really scared of you. Why does this same thing not come to a man and say, hey, you are a mentalist, you can read minds. I'm sure the women are really scared of you. So there are a lot of social norms, social perceptions, which make it acceptable if a man is doing something versus a woman doing it. Also, a lot of more men are given the freedom to choose what they want to do. Like in my part of the world, still, a girl is supposed to study and then get married and bear children, take care of the families. That's what is a natural expectation. Another thing is also that a lot of women are not also naturally comfortable doing something like this. So I don't know if they're really interested in, going and reading someone's mind or influencing their mind or, performing it on stage. I don't know. It's not that they can't do it, but it's also about choice. Not everyone is interested in something of this because this is unconventional. So you have to have a liking towards doing something unconventional. But I will surely say that the women who are into this field, they are pretty good.
So since you've been doing this for over 20 years, you've gained a lot of skill. You developed your abilities so much. I wonder, when you think about yourself 20 years from now doing this work, what have you gotten better at?
That's a good question. I don't think so far. I just have learned to live in the moment. So I don't think what's going to happen 20 years down the line. Who knows? We may be doing this interview on Mars.
That sounds great to me. But are there any aspects of the work you do that you feel like, I really want to get better at this one aspect of the mentalist work. What is that part?
I want to be able to be better at being able to remove the mental blocks that people have.
Other people.
Yes. So when I'm trying to read their minds, etc., there are a lot of times I come across cases where they have mental blocks. So either they're not open to allowing me being able to read their mind, or they have some preconceived thoughts, preconceived things. So I surely want to be able to have this innate ability where I'm able to allow them to be relaxed without a mental block. But a lot of times they are having mind blocks, which they're also suffering from in their own lives. And some way, if I could have the ability to break those mind blocks and make things simpler for them, it would be a really nice thing to be able to do.
Do you think someone has to believe in God or more than this physical existence in order to totally, fully embrace what we've been talking about?
A believer is a person who believes in God. A non-believer is a believer who believes in no God.
So it's belief either way.
So whether there is a God or there is no God. So we don't come from spiritual, religious backgrounds for us to say there is God, there is a particular name to the God, Hindu God, this God, that God. Let us call it. And I think everyone will agree to the fact that there is some force which is above us, more powerful than us. And that's a force we need to acknowledge. We don't want to give it names. We don't want to give it any kind of forms. But I will call it the super energy. We all are parts of a super energy. And that's why we feel connected to other super energies, other small energies. And if we are able to recognize this fact that there is something more powerful than us, something beyond us, then we automatically start understanding the fact that God or no God, the good will always be good. And what is good? The good is what gives you internal ultimate happiness. You may feel revengeful against someone. But let me tell you, even when you get your revenge, you will feel empty. Because revenge is never your goal. There is a very beautiful thing in one of the Upanishads, which talks about this energy and how things are. And it says, Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purna Mudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vishishyate. It means if you take away full, full still remains. Let me explain this again. If from full, you take away full, full still remains. Now, you may argue, 100 minus 100 is 0. How does full remain? But energy works in a different way. If I have a candle, a lit candle, and from the flame, I light another candle, if from full, you take away full, full still remains. So when we give selflessly, we don't perish, but we ignite another candle. The same way, when a mother gives birth to a child, if from full, you take away full, full still remains. The existence of the mother doesn't diminish when a child is born. The full remains, and so does the child. So I think we all need to shift to this kind of higher thinking, which will give us more peace. Leaving ourselves to something and subjecting ourselves to, oh, this was wrong, this was right. You have the choice to recognize it, that this is wrong and right. but it's not in your control. If something as bad has happened to you, you have to face it. You have to evolve and come out of it. It may be difficult for different people, but that doesn't mean you can't change. You have to polish yourself through struggles.
Right. It's not about necessarily getting over what happened or healing from what happened. It's about letting it grind against you, letting it refine you, letting it be integrated in you.
Yes. If you had a bad breakup, okay. Was it in your control? No. You tried your best. If after that it didn't work out, maybe it wasn't meant to be. It's okay. Not everything is for everybody. Do you go through the same experiences which your neighbor is going through?
Not exactly, no.
So your life is different. Your path is different. If it didn't work out, no problem. What matters is how honestly you tried. And if it mattered to you, you would have 100% given your 100% to trying to save it. If despite of that it didn't happen, accept it, appreciate it, and say, no problem. It doesn't have to make your next experiences bad. And it doesn't have to change those things. What happened there? And you don't even need to now be here and say, oh no, now he did bad to me or she did bad to me. Now this needs to happen bad to me. Why? I am going to make myself better. Whether with a person or without a person. Because we come alone, we go alone. We get different experiences. Some make us better. Some make us bitter. And some are there to really sharpen us.
Well, Dr. Kruti Parekh, thank you so much for talking with me and reading my mind.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. Thank you so much for taking your valuable time out and sharing my story with your listeners.
Audacious is always lovingly produced by Jessica Severin DeMartinez, Meg Fitzgerald, Robin Doyon-Aitken, and Meg Dalton at Connecticut Public Radio in Hartford. If you like this episode, check out the one we did featuring people who claim to be able to communicate telepathically with animals.
This work changes people's lives and changes the animals' lives. Like animals who are in pain and nobody can figure out what it is, and then I talk to them and they fix it, or if they're misunderstood somehow.
And listen to the one we did about past life regressions, including a super compelling conversation with Jeffrey Keene. He's a retired assistant fire chief from Westport, Connecticut, who has a lot of good reasons to believe that he is the reincarnation of Civil War General John B. Gordon.
Turns out that Gordon was born in 1832, and the Battle of Antietam was 1862. He was 30 years old when he shot through the face. So here I was back on my 30th birthday in the hospital with wounds that mimicked his wounding at Antietam.
And come with me to Old Saybrook, Connecticut, as I spend many hours with Patty K. Hall. She's a hypnotherapist specializing in past life regression therapy and deep memory processing. She's done thousands of past life regressions, including with me.
What's it feel like beneath your feet?
Soft.
On your head, do you have any hair or a hat of any kind?
I'm not wearing a hat. I do have a good beard.
It was a really good past life beard. You can listen to our entire catalog of mind-expanding conversations at ctpublic.org/audacious. Stay in touch with me on the socials at Chion Wolf, and you can always send an email to audacious@ctpublic.org. Peace.